It's been a day. Actually, it's been several days, but I thought I'd give an update to my whole wound situation. Um, we know that I have a relatively large wound that opened up. Not going to show you. You don't have to be grossed out by it. I promise you. It's not pretty to look at, but it doesn't hurt. And anyway, so my whole situation last night, or yesterday afternoon, was that it opened up and then I was spiking a fever. And then it got up to 103, which was a little concerning, and got covered with ice, and everything kind of came back down, and I don't have a fever today. So, what was happening, I found out, was that because kind of everything was opening here, my body was kind of just expanding, trying to find a way to get the fluid out. And so I got a fever. So anyway, long story short, went to the doctor today, got all those sutures that he'd tried to put in taken out, and now I am starting what is called wet to dry dressing. Basically, what that means is I'm starting out with just putting in this special gauze along the inside dry because my wound is so wet, and that's a good thing. It's supposed to stay wet. And I have still a lot of fluid in my legs. And see, that's the problem why it opened up in the first place, and why the sutures didn't stay closed, is because there's just so much swelling and inflammation that it wasn't going to hold. And it's interesting because it happened on my right leg, but not my left. My left leg is healing very nicely, but my right was not. So anyway, I've got to do the gauze. I change the dressing 3 times a day, wrap it up, and we just let it do that. As soon as I start pulling out the gauze and it's dry, that's when I have to start spraying it with saline, and then keeping it wet that way, changing it again 3 times a day, and that encourages regrowth. I've done this before. I had to do this when I had my lower body lift last year. The wound was not quite this large, although it still was relatively deep. So I kind of know what I'm working with, but again, it's not pretty to look at. And I don't show anybody. I don't plan to. It's not pretty. I'm just going to say that. But the good news is that it will heal. It'll heal just fine. The scar will look okay. Honestly, the plastic surgeon is like, well, we can revise the scar. And I'm like, the scars don't bother me. They don't. So we'll see how that goes. It can take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks with continuing this process. I've got to keep upping my protein to encourage healing. Pretty much doing everything I can to promote healing, resting as much as possible while still walking to keep blood flowing and circulation, things like that. I had some swelling in my foot, my right foot, for quite a while because fluid was looking for an escape, and that's gone down, so that's a positive. I don't have as much pressure pain that I had before, also a good thing. So it sucks. It does. I hate open wounds. They're tedious and gross, but I'm staying pretty positive. I don't regret having the surgery. Yeah, it's not a complication I would wish on anybody, but it's also not uncommon. So I, take that for what it's worth. The good news, though, and this is like great news, is my drains are gone. He said, well, you've got an open wound now. We can just go ahead and pull the drain. And that's what happened. So the one, especially on my right, was getting really, really red. And so, gosh, that hurt when he pulled that one out. But man, it feels so much better now. So the good news is that I can wear compression leggings instead of this garment. And I don't have to be tied down to these tubes coming out of my knees. I can shower regularly after, tomorrow I can start. And I can kind of get about my life within reason, still taking it easy. The thing about wounds is you look at them and you think they're terrifying, but, he's like, well, you can take a shower head and, clean it right off right in there. And it's like, should I do that? And yeah, it's okay. So who knew? Look at all these things that I am learning just because of things that happened to me. So who knew? you know, this could be a life skill. I wasn't trained to be a medical professional, but look at all this stuff that I'm learning. Oh, anyway. That's my update. I go back again on Tuesday to see him to make sure everything's healthy. I'll continue to go back pretty much once a week to check out, make sure that all the tissue's healthy. So far, so good. He looked at it and said, all the tissue looks healthy. It's going to start growing. Just be patient. I'm not patient, but I'll do my best. So that's my update, and I will talk to you later.